Hi, I'm Russell Cummings. Welcome to this short video on coaching your team. In business, too often I find as managers, we don't take the time to think about the individuals we're working with, and we tend to treat them all the same. In doing that, I don't believe we get the best out of them. So if we take a coaching approach to it, and by coaching we modify our approach to individuals, we come up with a much better result. Now, to do that, we use what we call the coaching matrix. Quite a simple matrix. It looks at somebody's levels of skill across the bottom level from low to high, and their level of enthusiasm for a particular task. Now, the coaching matrix is task sensitive, okay? So it's not a global thing. You look at somebody and say, oh, okay, well, they're always in the instruct box. It's for this particular task, where do they sit? Okay, so you may have somebody who's been in the job for 40 years, has done it really well. If you give them a new task for something they haven't done, then they may be back in the instruct and supervise phase rather than the trust phase. Okay, even though they're very capable people, for this particular task, you may need to have a different approach. Okay, so it's about changing your approach. So let's talk about each of the quadrants. For somebody who's got a low level of skill and a high level of enthusiasm, we need to give them good instructions. Okay, so we're going to have other videos on how to give good instruction. You might want to seek those out, but give them good instruction. For those who have low skill levels but don't have the enthusiasm for the particular task, we need to give them good instructions, but we also need to supervise them well. Now, that doesn't mean you stand around over their shoulder and watch them like a hawk. What that means is you break up the instructions into bite-sized chunks and you get them to come and report progress to you on a regular basis. Okay, so you need to supervise them to make sure that they're actually doing what you want them to do, because they're not very motivated. In the bottom right-hand column, quadrant, then we have somebody who's high in skill, low in enthusiasm, and we need to think of ways to motivate those people. So it may be giving them a challenge or some sort of incentive. I'm not talking about monetary incentive. So what can we do to motivate them? But you're going to need to motivate them because they know what to do, they're just not enthusiastic to do it. The last quadrant is unfortunately where I see most people spend most of their time, and it's quite inappropriate a lot of the time, and that's somebody who has a high level of enthusiasm, a high level of skill, and we trust them. Now, quite often we just trust everybody and we give them a simple instruction: I want you to go off and do this and this for me, and then we're quite disappointed when they don't come back with exactly what we want. It's because we haven't put them in the appropriate quadrant for coaching. All right. Now, a couple of things to remember. These things aren't clear boxes. We've just done that because it looks nice in a graphic. They're actually continuum. So as you move across from left to right, you do less instruction and more trusting, and then as you move up from the bottom, you do less supervision of people along the way. So less supervision, more trusting as you move up. So a great model. Apply it individually, and you'll get some fantastic results out of it. All right, couple of tips. It's a task-sensitive model. It's not a global model, so think about individual tasks for individual people. Keep the model in the back of your mind when you're working with others. You don't necessarily have to sit down and plot it out, but just say, okay, for this particular task, where do they sit? And modify your approach is the important thing. And remember, they're not discrete boxes, but a continuum. So, you'll give more or less instructions along the way. Okay, so I hope that's been useful to you. Thanks very much for listening. I hope it goes well for you. If you've got any questions, just flick me an email or give me a call. Thanks.